Good afternoon. Welcome to the Business Today post-budget panel discussion. I'm Sanjeev Shankran from Business Today. Let me begin by introducing our panelists. I'm going to go counterclockwise. There's Dr. Mukesh Anand from the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy. He's an economist who's done a lot of work, particularly in the recent past, on diesel subsidy and public finances. Rajeev Anand from Deloitte. He's a partner there. He handles direct taxes and heads the tax litigation part of Deloitte. Sanjay Modi from Resurgent India, who works in the area of infrastructure, who's helped a lot of companies achieve financial closure there. And there's Puneet Bansal from BMR Advisors, who specializes in indirect taxes and who's just not a consultant, who's also worked in Maruti Suzuki, if I'm not mistaken, in the past. And Chaitanya Kalbag, the editor of Business Today. Let's just start with the first impression on the budget. This is probably one of the shortest budget speeches in recent times. It ran for about roughly an hour and 45 minutes. Unsurprisingly, for what's going to be the last full budget before an election, there were handpicked constituencies which came in for a lot of mention, and perhaps the new entrant in that was women this year. There were a lot of mention of women during the budget speech. Before we get into details of the budget, let me first ask our panelists for their first impression of the budget, an overall take. Dr. Anand, what was your first impression?
Listening to the speech of Mr. Chidambaram, I think the budget proposals or the direction which the budget provides is similar in tenor to what the economic survey has indicated in terms of the economic survey talks in terms of demographics, and probably Mr. Chidambaram takes it a step further, not only talking about the youth but also talking about the less privileged, including the poor and women in special. So I guess this probably is the right direction for the next few years to come.
Stalin?
I tend to agree. The bottom line is, as the FM mentioned, that we could be the fifth largest or amongst the five top economies of the world by 2025 and a $5 trillion economy. The steps which have been proposed in this budget are to that effect at a very high level, and as long as we achieve that objective, I think everything is fair.
And Sanjay?
Yeah, I think the focus on the women, the youth and the poor was required and has remained the focus of the governments over the past 2 years. And by going into details of so many schemes in terms of empowerment for women, rural areas, agriculture, I think it was a not only short but also a crisp budget where clearly the need was highlighted to promote the basic sectors of the economy. The infrastructure sector also found a detailed mention time and again, and I think that's a welcome move for the industry.
And Puneet, what was your impression at the end of the speech?
To me, it seemed a balanced budget, and the finance minister had constraints on fiscal deficit. So I'm happy that he has not tinkered with the indirect tax rates. So except for taxes on super rich individuals or companies or few commodities, etc., he has not changed the tax rates in general.
The feeling I had before this began was that there was going to be quite a bit of austerity. That's the word that was mentioned. But what I heard was an unending stream of spending increases. So, Dr. Anand, can you tell us how you think he's achieved this trick of spending more and yet curbing expenditure?
My sense from the limited what I can derive from the speech is that there is probably attempt to consolidate across a lot of programs. As he said, like they'll be bringing down the number of centrally sponsored schemes from about 173 to about 70, and then which means there'll be synergies which will come in when you consolidate these programs. For example, say National Rural Health Mission combined with the Urban Mission, which is, and the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana and things like that. Even in the educational programs, there is a lot of consolidation which is proposed, and I guess across other water programs and things like that, also there is some consolidation. So I guess once this if it can be, if it improves administration, there is scope to cut down the costs to that extent. my sense is that this is what might be playing on his mind as far as expenditure control is concerned.
Right. One of the things that struck me was this one of those unusual budgets where we have no idea how much is going to be collected through tax revenue. Usually that does get mentioned in the budget speech. There is a spending increase, except for commodity transaction tax and a surcharge on the direct tax side for a particular income slab. Otherwise, we are not aware of any new taxes, anything that is going to see any surge in revenue except through probably better compliance. Are you a little wary of the fine print or the assumptions that underpin the revenue side?
I guess there would be some improvement on the compliance side, given that we have been for the last 4 to 5 years there has been a significant improvement in collection of information both on the tax side through the tax information network and both for the corporates as well as for the individuals, and I think that can lead to significant improvement in revenue realization, and I guess that the government will actually tighten its screws around those who have been trying to avoid taxes in the past. So I guess there will be some improvement on the revenue side, even at modest growth rates of incomes.
What's your feeling, Rajeev? You feel that better compliance alone will start to bring in a lot more money? I mean, he talked about the number of 1.7 lakhs people who don't pay some kind of tax, the whole thing of service tax tightening. You think all those steps will start to bring in more?
Yes, I genuinely believe that the action of the Government of India in the last couple of years, especially in the last 2 years actually, is meant to ensure that there is increased tax compliance. There is a lot of effort which is being put by the government in terms of identifying potential evaders. There is this thought which has gone into the common man that if they don't pay taxes at some point in time, whether in the near future or in the medium term, the revenue might come back or come to them and start asking questions. These are all positive developments. Now, keeping in mind that nobody was expecting new taxes to come because of the state of the economy. Maybe that's the reason why new taxes as such at least have been proposed in the speech. There could be something in the fine print, we'll have to see. But having said that, I do believe that the revenues from at least taxes would go up in view of the increased compliances. The government is already taking efforts on account of that.
The service tax amnesty was quite interesting. He's offering a big sop there for people who haven't paid service tax for the past 5 or 6 financial years.
Yes, I mean that is something which was not really expected in terms of amnesty schemes. I basically do not specialize in service tax, but from if I look at it from a macro level, that is indeed an opportunity because there is a lot of evasion based on publicly available information on service tax front at least, and let's hope that more and more people are able to take advantage of this and start paying taxes on a regular basis. So this is indeed welcome news for the economy as a whole.
Okay. Puneet, one of the things with indirect tax was all finance ministers find tobacco an easy target when they need money because no one can afford to complain. But did you find bringing mobile phones into that net an interesting move over there?
So I was surprised that he has increased the excise duty rate on mobile phone, and in today's world saying a mobile phone costing more than 2,500 is a luxury may not be correct, and it is always government's policy that all IT based products, be it computers, mobile phones, etc., they charge 0 or least rate of taxes on them. So to me it seems a negative move. And another move which I felt may impact a common man is that they have imposed service tax on normal restaurants also. Which last year was restricted only to restaurants serving liquor.
Right.
So in a sense they have increased the service tax net.
Right.
And just to answer your question as to from where the revenues come. One, in the past, in July 2012, they introduced a new service tax regime. So though the excise duty collections and custom duty collections have been falling on a year-on-year basis, but there is a substantial increase in service tax revenues. So with a greater vigilance and compliance and schemes like amnesty scheme, etc., I think Chidambaram is looking very positively on service tax.